The transformative power of compassionate leadership. Lessons from an unsung hero. Welcome, dear listeners, to a journey that promises to challenge your perceptions, ignite your passion, and perhaps even change the way you view leadership forever. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of what it truly means to lead with compassion, guided by the extraordinary insights of Elretha Perkins, a beacon of hope in our often cynical world. Elretha Perkins isn't a household name, and that's precisely what makes her story so powerful. She's not a Fortune 500 CEO or a viral TED speaker. She's something far more rare and precious, a public servant who has dedicated her life to the radical idea that genuine care and compassion can transform communities, solve seemingly insurmountable problems, and inspire a new generation of leaders. Now, I know what you're thinking. Compassionate leadership in today's cutthroat world, come on now. Trust me, I was skeptical too, but by the end of this talk, I promise you'll be looking at leadership and perhaps your own potential to change the world in a whole new light. Let's start with the question. When was the last time you felt truly seen and heard by someone in a position of authority? Take a moment to really think about it. For many of us, it's a rare experience, isn't it? We've become accustomed to leaders who speak at us, not with us, who prioritize metrics over people, who view compassion as a weakness rather than a strength. But what if I told you there was another way, a way of leading that not only feels better, but actually produces better results? This is the revolutionary approach that Elretha Perkins has been quietly pioneering for years, and it's time her wisdom reached a wider audience. I had the privilege of sitting down with Elretha recently, and let me tell you, it was like no interview I've ever conducted. From the moment she walked in, there was something different about her presence. She didn't just listen to my questions. She listened to me, and in that moment, I understood the first and perhaps most crucial lesson of compassionate leadership, the power of presence. In our hyper-connected, constantly distracted world, giving someone your full, undivided attention has become a rare gift. But Elretha doesn't just give this gift occasionally. It's the foundation of her entire leadership philosophy. People can tell when you're really there with them, she told me, her eyes twinkling with a mix of wisdom and mischief. And when they feel truly seen and heard, that's when the magic happens. Now, I can almost hear some of you rolling your eyes. That's all well and good, you might be thinking. But in the real world, we need results, not kumbaya moments. And you're absolutely right. But here's the kicker. Elretha's approach doesn't just feel good, it works. And I've got the stories to prove it. Well, let me take you back to a pivotal moment in Elretha's career. She was facing a crisis that threatened to tear her community apart. Two factions were at loggerheads over a contentious issue, each convinced their way was the only right way forward. The easy path would have been to pick a side, to push through a solution that would please one group at the expense of the other. It's the kind of tough leadership we've been conditioned to expect. But Elretha did something radical. She invited leaders from both groups to her home for dinner. No agenda, no PowerPoint presentations, just good food and open conversation. I wanted them to see each other as human beings first, she explained, not just as adversaries. Now, I know what you're thinking. A dinner party, that's her big solution, but bear with me because what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. As the evening progressed, something shifted. The rigid positions began to soften. People started sharing personal stories, finding common ground in unexpected places. By the end of the night, they hadn't solved the problem, but they had laid the groundwork for a solution. They had built relationships, found shared values, and most importantly, they felt heard and valued. This approach, Elretha explained, isn't about being soft or avoiding tough decisions. It's about creating an environment where real solutions can emerge, where people feel safe enough to be vulnerable, to admit when they don't have all the answers, to collaborate genuinely. And here's the kicker. It worked. In the weeks that followed, these once bitter opponents worked together to find a solution that not only resolved the immediate crisis, but laid the foundation for long-term cooperation. Yeah? All because one leader had the courage to lead with compassion. But Elretha's approach isn't just about warm, fuzzy feelings. It's grounded in a rock-solid commitment to honesty and transparency. In fact, her second key lesson might surprise you. Honesty isn't just the best policy. It's the only policy that truly works in the long run. Elretha shared a story from her early days in public service that perfectly illustrates this point. She was faced with a decision that would undoubtedly upset a portion of her constituents. The politically savvy move would have been to sugarcoat the truth, to tell people what they wanted to hear. But Elretha took a different approach. She called a town hall meeting. Standing before a packed auditorium, she laid out the facts, unvarnished and clear. She explained the challenges, the potential solutions, and the trade-offs each option entailed. As she spoke, she could see the tension in the room. People were uncomfortable, some were angry, but she pressed on, her voice steady, her heart open. I was terrified, she admitted to me with a self-deprecating chuckle. I kept thinking, this is it. This is how my career ends. But what happened next shocked everyone, Elretha included. The room didn't erupt in chaos, as she had feared. Instead, a respectful dialogue began. People asked questions, shared concerns, and offered suggestions. By the end of the night, while not everyone agreed with the final decision, they all felt heard and respected. This experience taught Elretha a crucial lesson. People can handle the truth. In fact, they crave it. In a world of spin and carefully crafted messages, genuine honesty stands out. It builds trust, fosters respect, and creates a foundation for real progress. But wait, you might be thinking, isn't honesty risky? Won't it make you vulnerable? Absolutely. And that's precisely the point. The vulnerability, Elretha argues, isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. When leaders have the courage to be vulnerable, to admit they don't have all the answers, it creates space for collective problem solving. It transforms followers into partners. Now, and I can almost hear the skeptics among you. That's all well and good for small town politics, you might be thinking, but in the real world of big business or high stakes government, this approach would never work. And that's where you'd be wrong. Elretha shared a story that perfectly illustrates how this approach can work even in the most high pressure situations. She was part of a task force dealing with a major public health crisis. The stakes were high, the public was panicking, and there was immense pressure to project an image of complete control. But Elretha advocated for a different approach. Instead of presenting a facade of omniscience, she suggested they be honest about what they knew, what they didn't know, and what they were doing to find out more. People aren't stupid, she told her colleagues. They can smell BS a mile away. If we're honest with them, they'll trust us more in the long run. It was a tough sell, but eventually her colleagues agreed to give it a try. And the results were astonishing. Yes, there was some initial panic when they admitted they didn't have all the answers. But very quickly, something remarkable happened. The public began to rally. Volunteers stepped forward to help. Experts from various fields offered their insights. What could have been a catastrophe became a model of community resilience and collaborative problem solving. This brings us to Elretha's third key lesson, the power of positive information. Now, before you groan and accuse me of peddling toxic positivity, hear me out. This isn't about ignoring problems or painting an unrealistically rosy picture. It's about providing context, about reminding people of their inherent strengths and capabilities. Elretha challenged me to think about the last time I watched the news. How did it make me feel? Overwhelmed, anxious, angry. It's no secret that negativity sells. But as leaders, we have a responsibility to paint a more balanced picture. She shared an initiative she started in her community. Every week, she would highlight a good news story, a local business that was thriving, a student who had overcome adversity to achieve academic success, a neighborhood that had come together to solve a long-standing problem. These stories didn't ignore the challenges facing the community, but they balanced them with hope and possibility. The impact was profound. People began to see their community and themselves in a new light. Problems that once seemed insurmountable now felt manageable. A sense of collective efficacy began to grow. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, Elretha explained. It's about reminding people of their own power to create change. As I listened to Elretha, I couldn't help but think about how this approach could transform our workplaces, our communities, even our families. What if we made a conscious effort to highlight the positive, to celebrate small wins, to acknowledge progress, even as we tackle big challenges? But perhaps the most powerful lesson I learned from Elretha was about the transformative power of care. In a world that often prioritizes efficiency and results above all else, Elretha's approach might seem counterintuitive. She told me, I want people to feel that I care because I do, deeply and genuinely. This isn't just a nice sentiment. For Elretha, it's a leadership strategy. and it's backed up by hard science. Studies have shown that when people feel cared for, they're more creative, more productive, and more willing to go the extra mile. Empathy and compassion aren't soft skills. They're essential tools for any leader who wants to unleash the full potential of their team. Elretha shared a story that perfectly illustrates this point. Her office was working on a crucial project with an impossibly tight deadline. The team was working around the clock, stress levels were through the roof, and tempers were starting to fray. Most leaders would have pushed harder, maybe offered bonuses for meeting the deadline. But Elretha did something different. She brought in massage therapists for quick stress relief sessions. She arranged for healthy meals to be delivered. And most importantly, she took the time to check in with each team member individually, not just about the project, but about their lives, their families, their dreams. I wanted them to know that I saw them as whole people, she explained, not just as productivity machines. The result, not only did they meet the deadline, but the quality of the work exceeded all expectations. Team members reported feeling more connected, more motivated, and more committed to the organization's mission than ever before. This approach, Elretha emphasized, isn't about being soft or avoiding tough decisions. It's about creating an environment where people can do their best work, where they feel valued not just for what they produce, but for who they are. As our conversation drew to a close, I asked Elretha what she hoped people would take away from her approach to leadership. Her answer was characteristically straightforward. I want people to feel my compassion and then to turn around and show that same compassion to others. It's a simple idea, but one with profound implications. Imagine a world where leaders at all levels in government, in business, in our communities approach their roles with this level of care and compassion. How might it change the decisions we make, the way we treat each other, the future we create together? As I left my meeting with Elretha, I felt both inspired and challenged. Inspired by her unwavering commitment to honesty, positivity, and care. Challenged to bring these qualities more fully into my own life and work. And now, I extend that challenge to you. How can you bring more honesty into your interactions today? How can you highlight the positive, even in difficult situations? And most importantly, how can you show genuine care for the people around you? These aren't just feel-good ideas. They're powerful tools for creating change, for building trust, for solving real-world problems. They're the foundation of truly transformative leadership. Elretha Perkins' approach reminds us that leadership isn't just about what we achieve, it's about how we achieve it. It's about the lives we touch, the culture we create, the example we set. It's about having the courage to be vulnerable, to admit when we don't have all the answers, and to truly listen to those around us. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, facing challenges that can often seem overwhelming, Elretha's wisdom offers a beacon of hope. It reminds us that the solutions to our biggest problems don't always come from grand strategies or technological breakthroughs. Sometimes they emerge from simple acts of honesty, positivity, and care. So, I leave you with this challenge. What would change in your life, in your work, in your community, if you approached each day with Elretha's blend of honesty, positivity, and genuine care? How might it transform your relationships, your decisions, your impact on the world? The power to make this change lies within each of us. It doesn't require a title or a position of authority. It simply requires a willingness to be present, to speak from the heart, and to truly care about the people around us. Imagine a world where every leader, from CEOs to community organizers, from politicians to parents, embrace this approach. A world where honesty trumps spin, where positivity balances realism, and where genuine care is the foundation of every interaction. It's not just a nice idea, it's a revolutionary act. And here's the most exciting part. This revolution starts with you right here, right now. You don't need permission. You don't need a fancy title. You just need the courage to lead with compassion, to be honest even when it's hard, to highlight the positive even in challenging times, and to show genuine care for those around you. So I challenge you. In the next 24 hours, have one conversation where you're radically honest. Find one positive story to share with your team or your community. Show genuine care to someone you lead or work with, not because of what they can do for you, but simply because they're a fellow human being worthy of compassion. And then watch what happens. Watch how it changes you. Watch how it changes them. Watch how it starts to ripple out.
creating waves of positive change in your organization, your community, and beyond. This is how we change the world, my friends, not through grand gestures or lofty speeches, but through small acts of compassionate leadership, repeated day after day until they become the new normal. Elretha Perkins may not be a household name, but her wisdom has the power to transform our world. And now, armed with her insights, so do you. The question is, what will you do with this power? The world is waiting for leaders like you, leaders who have the courage to be honest, the wisdom to be positive, and the compassion to truly care. Will you answer the call? Remember, every great movement, every world changing idea started with one person deciding to do things differently. Today, let that person be you. Lead with compassion and watch as you not only achieve great things, but inspire others to do the same. The future of leadership is compassionate, honest, and positive, and that future starts now with you. So go forth, lead with your heart as well as your head, and let's create a world where compassionate leadership isn't the exception, it's the rule. Thank you.